Ladies and gentlemen, there's a black belt in the house.
What's up, everyone?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give you such a pit bull kind of an introduction, Mr. 305. But no, I mean, I'm very happy that we have somebody who's a certified black belt. I mean, I don't think you realize how big of a big deal this is for all of us here in the Pakistani MMA community. But I just wanted to firsthand, when as soon as we start rolling, say congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for doing this, because this is very, very seminal and very important. I feel like this is the point where, you know, we start producing more and more trained, certified killers on the mats.
Well, to a point, I think it allows people to grow and understand that, okay, fine, we'd have jiu-jitsu at a certain level, but we've always had that. I'm proud to say, you know, we've got some phenomenal jiu-jitsu players in Pakistan, and everyone just thinks, oh, you have to be competing internationally to be good. Little introduction about myself.
Please.
Anyone don't know? My name's Alisha Ahmad. I'm a Carlson Gracie London Jiu Jitsu black belt. My name's Alisha. Yes, it's a girl's name. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, people get confused by that quite a bit.
All the time.
Must be really
all
annoying.
the time. I went to the Nadra office and the lady's like, "Ye aapka naam galat likha hua hai passport pe." I was like, "No, lady, you got it wrong."
Before we continue with the podcast, I also want to plug the WRG hoodies and shirts that we're selling here on the mic. Go to the link in bio and go get your own. These are really good quality shirts, and they support the only legitimate Pakistani professional wrestling academy in Pakistan, WRG, and all of the wrestlers in it. So please go and support Pakistani professional wrestling. Come to the next show, so on and so forth. Enough of that. Okay, so what I want to go exactly back to the start, and thank you for the introduction and everything. And really sorry for the shit coffee.
No worries.
And we were actually talking about this beforehand. This is
drugs.
drugs. Nescafe 3-in-1, and you're drinking the Nescafe Gold. Both equally bad. People don't really realize just how bad this stuff is. You were telling us before we started.
Well, I mean, it's okay. I just think it's about effort. You know, if you want to, I'm assuming a lot of your listeners listen to Joe Rogan.
Yes. I
actually met a guy yesterday on the bus. He didn't know who Joe Rogan was, and he's from Manchester. He's 28. I was like, really? You don't know? Like, my bad. Trying not to be, you know, I was trying to be humble. But yeah, I mean, it's a fact that coffee or caffeine, coffee specifically, is a drug. It's a, you know, it's a psychoactive drug, and the whole world is addicted. So how you take your drug is completely up to you. There are superior forms of intake and uptake. Nescafe not being one of them, but it does the trick. You know, we've all been there where you're cracked out and you just need a cup.
Exactly.
You know, it does the trick.
When in the grocery store and you're just like, I need to wake up at 3-in-1 and just grab the 3-in-1. It is,
man, nowadays you get these crazy energy drinks. I mean, back in the day, back in the day, all you had was Red Bull. Wow. Now you get this stuff called Rain. You don't get it here. And it's got like BCAAs, vitamin B, and like all of these like amino acids and like CoQ10 and all this good stuff. 200 mg caffeine. You have that shit and you go to war. Like, your brain is working. You're ready for battle. Everyone's like, "Coach, you know, you're a bit peppy today." I'm like, "Yeah, I had my
amino acids." No, I love that. I always used to think like energy drinks is just straight up a big no.
Man, it's like there are a lot of good energy drinks out there, but basically the foundation is caffeine. If you can throw some BCAAs in there and some vitamin B, you're good to go. That's how I teach morning jiu-jitsu every day. So I'm up at 5:30 every day. First thing I do is pour a cup of coffee, take some vitamin B and BCAAs, and I'm ready for war. Like ready to go every day.
That's incredible.
That's all you need. Empty stomach. You don't want to have breakfast, fruit khana hai. Khali pet pe, little bit of caffeine, that's your energy drink, and you're good to go.
So it's not always important to get up and have a meal right before, literally go to war. Like lifting weights and stuff is understandable because you can control the weights and everything. But
man, I think there's like your body has natural energy, and when you eat food, a lot of that energy gets used to processing the food and trying to digest. So sometimes being on empty stomach is like, you know, beneficial. You need to get used to it though. A lot of people are like, oh, when I'm fasting, main ye nahi kar sakta, ya main ye nahi kar sakti. I've done like 2.5, almost a 3-day fast, a water fast.
Whoa.
No food, just water, caffeine, some electrolytes, and you get really high, man. You get really high.
Really?
Stuff,
like lightheaded.
That too, but it's a really strange sensation having your body be empty.
Yeah.
Like we always have something in our gut, or we always have something in our stomach.
Yeah.
And after 2 days, everything's out, and you're just like light and airy, and your body goes into like a fat burning mode. So your vision's sharper, and you'd think you'd be like delirious, but you know, you have really acute sense of thinking, and you know, everything picks up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's very rare for at least people I've spoken to on the podcast, and I tend to speak to a lot of athletes. Like I tend to speak to a lot of athletes, and even like football athletes, Ismail speaks to here. I don't know if it's like people don't really have an interest towards I would say maybe like fitness, or they're just like peak performance. I don't know if that's like just jiu-jitsu and the kind of sport it is, which drives you to look at these kind of things and, you know, what you can do best, or how you can operate best.
Any sport is a vehicle for self-improvement.
Yeah.
Right? Jiu-jitsu just makes you face those harsh realities every day on the mat. And that's what I love about jiu-jitsu, that you feel, you know, if you're having a shitty day, you're going to think like, God damn, I don't want to feel like this again.
Yeah.
Why did that person take my back? Why did they pass my guard?
Yeah.
Why did I get submitted? Did I not sleep enough? Did I not eat well? You know, like what's going on in my system? A lot of those things can be used as excuses and like mental weaknesses. You can also just hit a switch in your brain and say, go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, depending on the type of person you are, it can really help you improve other aspects of your life.
Right.
Like now, after 12 years of doing jiu-jitsu, I'm 35 years old. Alhamdulillah, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
I've never been fitter. I used to be an athlete in high school. I swam for Pakistan. When I was 16, I was on the national team.
Wow.
And you know, that was like, I used to think in my 20s, I used to think, oh wow, I peaked when I was young, you know, because I was just like lifting weights and doing stuff. And now I look back and I'm like, I would smash my younger self. You know, I would smash myself last year or the year before, whether it be in strength, in cardio, in general fitness, in my overall health, because I'm aware, I'm cognizant of my body, my mind, my heart, my soul, and what I need to do to enrich myself and try and be the best possible version of myself.
Yeah.
So it's just really important about being self-aware and having a bit of discipline to try and, you know, chip away.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of my friends are like, oh man, Alisha, how do you do this? Like, how are you, you know, we're going to the beach, you know, we want a six-pack and and, you know, like, look, it's a lifestyle. You know, I wake up 7 days a week. I wake up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Like for me, sleeping in is waking up at 6:30. It's just natural, right? Like the more in tune your body is with your circadian rhythm, with the sunlight, waking up in the morning and going to bed at night, the more your hormones, you're going to have optimum gene expression. Your body's just going to work better. I'm staying with a really good friend of mine, and I was talking to his wife last night. We were talking about like calories in, calories out. She just had a baby. And she's not feeling good about herself. And I'm like, look, man, this is all just a process. You need to think about what you're eating. You know, all calories are not equal. You know, you can have like 2,000 calories worth of ice cream, or you can have 2,000 calories worth of fruits and vegetables and so on and so forth. And how your body processes that is completely different. And then if you have the same diet, like someone eats during the day and someone eats during the night. Personally, for me, like I can eat a tub of ice cream a day, every day. I'll have ice cream for breakfast. I'll have ice cream for lunch. I'm not saying people don't go out and do this. I do this. It works for me. I just stop eating before sunset, right? Like 5 o'clock. I teach jiu-jitsu in the evening sometimes. I'll have private sessions, you know, I'll have like clients and stuff. I'll eat at 5 o'clock. And then I'll go out, I'll roll, I'll train, I'll come back to bed, and I'll sleep better on an empty stomach. I use like this Garmin heart rate variability, blah, blah, blah. In the days I come home and I'm like, oh yeah, bahut bhook lag rahi hai, I had a heavy session today, I need to eat something. Those days I will not sleep well, and I'm going to wake up at 5:30 for the next session feeling like shit. So sometimes just allowing your body to like manage itself, eat less, and be in tune with nature, I guess, like our old self, our natural self, I think is the best way to try and live.
What time do you wake up?
5:30 every day.
Wow. And what time do you sleep?
I would love to sleep at 8, but my wife loves to chat.
Right.
It's like she's tired all day, and then we
Yeah.
get into bed, and she looks at me, and her eyes are sparkling.
Yeah.
Right. Let's have a chat.
No, that's very interesting. And you stop eating at 5 p.m.
I stop eating
PM?
before sunset, so that changes every day.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Based on So in winters, I always tell people, oh, don't have too much coffee. Like too much of anything is bad for you.
Yeah,
right?
obviously
balance is what we're all seeking in our lives. And like in the winter, I've just found myself naturally having more caffeine. Like I need it to function.
Yeah.
In the summertime, I don't need it too much. The sun gives you enough energy.
Yeah.
Sunlight gives you enough energy to focus and be like alert and awake and all that.
Wow. And there's a obviously my dad's always told me this, but that's about the only way I've ever known this to be like the natural way of living. Like, jaldi soya karo, jaldi utha karo, right? Like, and I think everyone's heard it.
My dad said the same thing my whole life. He's like, Quran mein likha hai, insaan ne subah ko jagna hai aur raat ko sona hai. Like God has given us the day for being awake and night for sleeping. And my mother's side of the family, like even my son, he's like, I'm an owl. I'm gonna stay up at night, daddy.
I'm the same, dude. I'm exactly the same. I'm not even kidding. Like
I'm a child of both worlds. I love staying up at night once in a while. Like last night I was up till 1 o'clock, which is unheard. Like 1 a.m. I was like delirious, But I was catching up with a really good friend of mine. We were just chatting, So you have to. I think there's like this 80-20 rule. Yeah. I'm good, thanks.
Okay, no worries.
80% of the time you have to give your best, like your true best, and 20% of the time just accept you're human.
Yeah.
A lot of the times people are too hard on themselves, and then they set goals for themselves which are unachievable in a short term.
Yeah.
Maybe if they take their time and they're more forgiving with themselves, they can do better.
Right. What is it about jiu-jitsu that A, made you want to start practicing that, and then B, just as a sport, like I feel as if there's a marked difference between people who train jiu-jitsu and then people who might train any other martial arts, at least that I've seen in Pakistan. And when I say there's marked difference, tell me if I'm wrong about this as well. I feel like there's way more seriousness and just overall, like I said, discipline involved with people who practice jiu-jitsu. I don't know if that's like a cultural phenomenon that's like kind of evolved over time into jiu-jitsu players being so disciplined. I don't want to use that word again, but disciplined, but then also so meticulous with how they live their lives or how they practice their sport or how they take care of their bodies. I feel like this is a phenomena closely associated to a lot of jiu-jitsu players. Not to say that other martial artists and other people from other martial arts don't do that. I just think that it's something which is just a marked difference. Like, what do you think? Is it something in the sport, or is it a culture surrounding the sport globally that's kind of taking shape? Or what do you think
it's just seeking the truth. Like my instructor Simon Hayes in London, he'd always say the truth is on the mats. There's no lying on the mats. People can show up and be like, I do this and that, or I'm this strong, or they can have a sense, they may not be saying these things.
Yeah.
But when you step onto the mats and you slap hands, bump fists, and you go with like, we have this guy Munib.
Mm-hmm.
Munib is like 55 kilos.
Okay.
He's a lion. He's a freaking sher, dude. I love putting him with new people.
Yeah.
And you just see like life drain from their eyes. Like you'll see guys come in and be like, oh, I gotta fight this guy.
Yeah.
And this little spider monkey will triangle them. His legs won't open. Or he'll scramble onto their back and choke them out. And the first time it happens, people are like, okay, well, let's go again. And then it happens again and again and again. And there's this stark reality that hits like, oh my God, this is like,
different game.
This is the truth.
Oh yeah,
I very much feel about jiu-jitsu that way. Paulo Coelho wrote this book called The Alchemist, and he talks about the language of the world, like these truths that if you hear a truth, it will resonate with your soul. So like jiu-jitsu makes you listen to your inner voice and trust it and be in tune with it, where I feel like your intuition and your other senses tend to sharpen up, where you start to trust and believe in yourself. And your jiu-jitsu can only truly shine when you believe in your jiu-jitsu. And that takes a long time for people to understand. I think it took to me to get to my purple belt before I understood, right, I need to believe in myself and in what I've learned in my techniques. And that really changed how I was able to move forward and apply my jiu-jitsu and like against a resisting opponent.
That's very interesting because so there's something you kind of said that I want to talk about. So I don't know if you're very big on professional wrestling or the world of professional wrestling, like the WWE stuff.
Right.
I've been following that stuff since I was a kid.
I think we all have. Everyone that's grown up in Pakistan has switched on the television and seen like, you know, Stone
Undertaker.
Cold or Bret the Hitman Hart, you know, like.
So glad you said that name. He's one of my favorites. And people often skip over him and say Shawn Michaels or, you know, The Rock. But Bret Hart was the man. But, you know, it's a science as well. It's a very different world and a very different kind of discipline. Often it lacked discipline when we used to watch it, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s. That was a really bad time for professional wrestling. But the reason I'm bringing that up as a parallel here is because recently we were working with WRG, these guys here in Lahore who do professional wrestling. It's incredible. There's like 10 wrestlers and they put on a show, man. Like
it's work, I'm sure.
It's so much work. And we started working with them on promos. So promos is just, you know, getting a mic and talking, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to interact with the audience or whatever. And everybody's always trying to sound like someone and everything. And I just said this much to them that, listen, your best promo is what you sound like, maybe amplified a little bit because you're in front of an audience, but what you sound like. And I feel like that's the closest thing to a truth when it comes to speaking that you can get. I've trained jiu-jitsu a little bit back when I was much younger, that when I was back in my O-levels, A-levels, I started here in Synergy, Rogue.
Nice.
Injury. Like, I have bum shoulders, straight as that. Like I never really understood how to take care of them. Never really did any yoga. I didn't know yoga was a thing that helped with injuries. I just thought like people meditated and that's it.
You've hit the nail on the head. You see, the thing is everyone's body is different and everyone is going to react differently to jiu-jitsu, right? There's this kira that sets into your brain when you do jiu-jitsu where you just decide like, right, I'm going to do this, or somewhere inside you there's a quit.
Yeah.
Right. And when I left London as a blue belt, as a fresh blue belt, 2013, I got my blue belt and I moved back to Pakistan in 2014 April. And I was inspired by my instructors who, no matter what, would find a way to train. And I remember, man, when you're coming up and you get your belts with the people you've been training with, your teammates, I was like, oh shit, man, these guys are going to get their purples before me. They're going to get ahead. And I just told myself, I said, look, everyone's journey is their own. Right? No matter what, however long it takes me, I'm never going to quit and I'm just going to keep training. And that's all I've done, right? I've stuck to the process and I've just put in the work.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that if I were to always want to just be king of the hill at the club and be like, no one can submit me, I'm always going to be the best guy, I'd never get better. I have, like, jiu-jitsu weeds out your weaknesses. You have to face your fears. You have to face your shortcomings and address them. Yeah. That's how you're going to grow.
Yeah.
So one of my really good friends and one of my good students, Faizan, he's a purple belt. He recently has just been getting injured a lot.
Right.
And
Faizan Adamji. I remember his Instagram handle. That's why his name. Yeah. I noticed things anyway. Sorry. Go on. Yeah.
Faizi's just been getting injured a lot, and I've been telling him like, look, dude, like now you're 33. Okay, this isn't a game anymore. Once you get your purple belt, that means your instructor believes you're going to make it to black belt, right? A lot of people drop out at white and blue.
Yeah.
People get blue beltitis. But once you get purple, it's really like, it's a
blue beltitis. I know, like people get their blue and they stop showing up.
They bounce because they couldn't see past the belt.
Yeah.
Right? And then the bullseye on their back after they get their blue, because you got a pack of hungry white belts ready to strangle them at every chance. And of course, they're going to get tapped. Of course, they're going to get tapped by white belts. They can't handle that sometimes, and people leave. It's okay. Like, it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
It's just that later when you look back, you'll be like, damn, I got fucked up, So
should have stayed. Yeah.
So with Faizi, I've just been telling him like, look, dude, now you have to be putting in work with physio. You have to be doing strength and conditioning. You have to be doing yoga. There's not a day that goes by where I don't train and I don't do a cool down with yoga and stretching and like all of this stuff. Because we require so much of our bodies. We just take and take and take and take. You have to give back.
Yeah.
You have to allow your nervous system to relax. Otherwise, you're just going to fray.
Yeah.
You know, you're just going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And I want to be, when I'm 70 years old, I want to be rolling. Of course, not with like 16-year-old blue belt.
Yeah.
You know, with chosen partners, because we all have a limited number of roles left in us.
Of course.
So every day when I get on the mats and I train with my students and my friends and my partners, I'm so grateful. I'm blessed to be able to share the mats with them and, you know, try and utilize that time effectively to continue to improve my game.
Yeah.
Because funny thing about getting a black belt is whenever you get a belt, right, you don't believe in yourself at that belt yet.
Yeah.
It takes a couple of months to start to believe in yourself. So like white belt, all I could think about was the blue. When I got the blue belt, I was like, holy shit, I'm in Pakistan. Just keep going, work on the basics, strengthen up. When I got my purple belt, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, whoa, what is this, you know? And brown belt is all about domination and trying to seek out challenges, seek and destroy, you know, just become as strong as possible. And when I got my black belt, I just feel like now I can have fun. I feel like I can learn all these new things and just really concentrate on expanding and adding on. Right. I don't feel like I need to think about basic stuff. Like, of course, every time I teach a basic technique, I'm still improving.
Right.
Every single time I'm doing a basic scissor sweep or I'm doing a hip bump, I am discerning and picking up on little details, not only in how I'm absorbing these details, but also how I can teach my students.
Right.
And I think that's one of the greatest gifts of the art. Now I realize is being able to pass on the knowledge and see it help people.
Yeah, I've seen. Unfortunately, I've never gotten to come to Carlson Gracie in Karachi. I've always seen the videos. I've seen the Instagram, and it looks like a very fun space to train. It was very COVID friendly initially. The little boxes, and its designated training part. Very smart.
I'm very clinical that way.
Yeah, you are, dude. Like I saw that stuff, and I was like, okay, this guy's in like 30-22 right now. He's seeing like the pandemic after this one. Like he's got it down. And like it always seems like a very fun vibe, but then also like I feel like the people there, your students at least, really do take the art form seriously, or at least it looks as if there's a lot of like the discipline and everything you want students to have.
I think I'm soft.
You are?
I think I'm soft on my students.
Are you?
Yeah, I think so.
What makes you say that?
Sometimes I think I'm too hard on them.
Yeah.
I think our standard is international level good, because we'll have white belts go and train, you know, in London or train whenever they're traveling. I try and set this example. I've got my gi right here. So even though I've come for work, I'm going to go train with Jazzy and Sherry right after this.
Brilliant.
Because that's what I've been taught by my instructors, is wherever you go, you can train. Yeah. And I think our standard is a good standard. I just have really high expectations of everyone. I think I hold everyone to a really high standard. Higher standard than they hold themselves.
That's good.
Because I want them to believe in themselves and achieve the best.
Yeah.
So even though sometimes I think I'm a bit soft with them, because I spoon feed them everything. You know, like the way they teach in Brazil, the way I was taught by Wilson Jr., show technique and the instructor's off, right? They're standing there, they're watching. You can be fucking up for weeks, for months, doing the technique wrong. It's between you and your partner to help each other. Jiu-Jitsu is about feeling, right?
Yeah.
If you are not feeling the technique, you're not thinking about the technique and saying, okay, why isn't this working? Like using your own brain.
Yeah.
You're not going to get better. And that weeds out a lot of people because they just simply can't get better.
Oh.
Whereas I'll be like walking around trying to tell people, listen, you need to really hook your foot on the hip, or you need to do this, or make sure you grab the collar, blah, blah, blah. Spoon feeding them. In a way which helps, I guess. So there's like trying to strike this balance.
Yeah, of course. And also I think Pakistan is not really one of those places where you want to weed out talent, so to speak. You want to garner it and gather as much of it as possible, right?
Man, there's so much softness in our society. There's so much like I have subsidized training at the academy for 5 years, and I was working in my family business. Now I'm transitioning to full-time jiu-jitsu. And I can no longer subsidize the training.
Right.
And the reason I've always subsidized the training is when people come for jiu-jitsu, I don't let people train for free.
Yeah.
I'll always ask people to pay something so that they value it and respect it, whatever they can pay me.
Yeah.
Because people who come from difficult circumstances are stronger. they have a stronger mindset. It tends to be, just say Karachi mein, for example, we have like these Defense is a very affluent area, or Clifton or whatever. And, you'll have these like, I'm alhamdulillah blessed. I come from a good background. I'm not trying to put anyone down, but I'm saying that people who have come from wealth, they are very soft.
Yes.
They might watch some movies, they might watch some UFC, and they'll be like, oh, I want to be a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Talk is cheap.
Yeah.
I want to see someone come in and put in work.
Yeah.
And I always have people come in and they come with stories. I've seen hundreds of people, if not thousands, come into the gym and talk.
Yeah.
Right. What I as an instructor, when I'm standing over you and watching, I can see how much effort you're putting in. I can see how much more you have left in your gas tank. All I want to see is you do your best. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, people who come from, not saying everyone, it's not a blanket statement, but generally speaking, there's a lot of softness in our society where people are not willing to face discomfort. They're not willing to face difficulty,
Yeah. You've been training in Carlson Gracie London, but you've been a very, integral part of the Pakistani Jiu Jitsu circles here, I would say as well. You're our first homegrown black belt, I would say. Like, you're the first guy who...
Sound like a terrorist.
You train like one too? No, I'm kidding. Wait a minute. No. But we don't know what they train like, do they? Actually, we have footage of that. Anyway.
You haven't seen the preparedness training I do.
Really? Oh, so you do train like a terrorist? I love that. What is your... like when you look at Pakistani Jiu Jitsu, you're gonna go train with Jazzy and Sherry after this. I actually trained under Sherry. He was like my first instructor when I started. Then when Rogue started, I jumped over there, and then Jazzy, he taught me as well. Very fun people, very good people.
Awesome guys.
Yeah, but they're like very the two very like that's too many less people in Pakistani Jiu Jitsu, I would say, who are like that, at least that I know of. When I think of Pakistani Jiu Jitsu, I think of guys in 3G. I think guys in Carlson Gracie. I think guys Jackmat Karachi. I think guys Jackmat here. But then that's where like my list starts to run out, right? What do you think's missing here? And is anything even missing? Do you feel as if it's just a matter of time? Are we doing something wrong, basically, with Pakistani Jiu Jitsu?
Man, I think people are always caught up too much in trying to speed things up. Like, oh, let's get more belts. Let's get more jiu-jitsu. It's an organic process. Mauricio Gomez, Roger Gracie's father, when he moved to the UK, he started jiu-jitsu there. And he said it takes 15 years to develop a proper academy.
Wow.
Right? We're not there yet.
Right.
So it's going to take some time. People need to just keep training. There's going to be a lot of people dropping out. There's more awareness building. There's more like flow grappling. There's all kinds of stuff on Instagram that's trying to make jiu-jitsu look cool. Because jiu-jitsu is not a spectator sport.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's podcast.
Exactly.
Really helped with that.
Exactly. Right? So with myself personally, I've always believed in letting our jiu-jitsu speak for itself.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in promoting jiu-jitsu or getting it into the national sport or getting sponsorship or being on the Olympics. No. My commitment is to my students, right? Improving their lives, improving their jiu-jitsu, their ability to cope with things, to face their fears, to believe in themselves, to have confidence.
Yeah.
Of course, I love competing. That's an integral part of jiu-jitsu, being able to face someone and smash them or learn from your losses.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually what's key. Everyone's in Pakistan generally is too busy getting up in other people's business, right? Everyone just needs to put in the work, keep their head down, and let things happen.
Yeah.
Right? I try not to get involved with other people and what's going on and who says this and that. And
I noticed. That's very good.
Kutta bhonk raha hai, usko bhonkne do.
Jo baat hai.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you want to do some work, just put in the work and let your jiu-jitsu speak for itself, because talk is cheap. I'm not really concerned about the growth of jiu-jitsu in Pakistan.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an issue.
Good.
I think there are enough people who are committed to the art that over time it will grow.
Right.
I always draw analogies on the growth of jiu-jitsu in the UK, which was where Carlson Gracie was, and my instructors, Wilson Jr., Simon Hayes, Dickie Martin, they were at they were there at the start of jiu-jitsu in the early 2000s,
Right.
So the stories of what it was like, I can see the similarities between where we are now and how they've grown.
Cool.
And where it is there are a lot of things that they're able to do in the UK that we aren't, to have an association and have a ruling, not a ruling federation, but somehow an association to try and promote jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Jazzy's tried to organize that a couple of times. It hasn't worked out because of differences between people and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing, I think we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few years we'll be there.
I love Jazzy. He just goes to the Pakistan Jiu Jitsu Federation's page and just keeps shitting on them. Like, I love it so much. Like, he'll just, like, they send a team. I don't know if that's like there's two kinds of jiu-jitsu, isn't there? There's like the competitive jiu-jitsu that you do, and then there's like demonstrative jiu-jitsu.
There's Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
right?
And then there's like Japanese jiu-jitsu, which is legit.
Right.
Japanese jiu-jitsu is legit. But then you have this like, it's called the show system.
Yeah.
Show duo system.
Yeah.
Where basically these guys are performing characters,
Okay.
Performing techniques, they're performing stuff. And they, then they don't really fight resisting opponents. When I was a blue belt, I used to train at this guy's gym, Tariq Ali. I used to train for free for about 2 years. I taught at his gym for free. His black belts refused to ever take off their belts. They always wore black belts, even though they were judo black belts. And I was teaching jiu-jitsu. I was a jiu-jitsu blue belt. There was this guy, Marius. Sorry, not Marius, Laszlo.
Okay.
Laszlo's this Hungarian under 21. At the time, he had been in the under 21 Hungarian judo national team.
Cool.
This guy was like 120 kilos and he moved like lightning. He wore a white belt.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right? He had no ego. Pakistan has this problem.
Yeah.
And, I think the other people that are doing the other kinds of jiu-jitsu, it's like, I don't want to judge them and I don't want to like cast anything negative on them. That's their earning, that's their life, that's what they need to do.
Their passion,
fair enough. Where the issue starts is where you start to mislead people, right? Like a lot of people don't know anything about martial arts, so they say, "हाँ यार मैं judo karate करा दो." हमारे बच्चों को सिखाना है. People come with the best of intentions for themselves or for their children, but then they're misled with stuff that, because they just don't know any better.
Yeah.
That's where I have a problem, where you're misleading people and you're taking advantage of them. Otherwise, do what you want to do. Like, live your own life. Jio jeene do.
Bilkul. It shouldn't, and I'm glad it doesn't bother you, because I feel like, whereas there's a lot of problems in Pakistani mixed martial arts, like I've been covering this country scene for like 2.5 years. Like, I've been a fan of it, and I've tried to be involved in it for many more years. Don't get me wrong, until I just said, screw it, we'll just start something ourselves. Because I've tried being a commentator for past promotions. I've tried being a ring announcer for past, like, Fighting Alliance. Like,
there's so much drama in this country, bro.
Dude, it's crap. It's bullshit. Like, I was a kid when I first wanted to start doing this stuff. I didn't think of having a podcast in my, basement for some reason. I didn't start this before, but it came to me later. But before that, I always wanted to help out. Like, I really enjoy professional wrestling, but I feel as if there was no professional wrestling here, A, and then B, I felt like the mixed martial arts scene is way better. It's just what was lacking, according to me, was the presentation. And I was like, I can help out with that, because all I do is watch shows where there's people who's commentating or ring announcing or one thing or the other, and that's the stuff I focus on. I do focus on the fights, but if I really focused a lot on the fights, then I'd probably be on the mats, right? I'd probably be training. I'd probably be like competing. But I don't do that. What I do is I listen to the commentary and I want to do that, but then people would, no, we have someone who's experienced who's going to do that, and they're crap. You know what I mean? Like,
Ana ki baat hai na?
Bilkul, it's ana ki baat, and it pisses me off that again, people are misled to think that this is the best that our country can produce. I really don't think it is. I think we can do far better. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, all right, I think it's important to focus on what you're doing and how you're building up what you want to build up to. Observe everyone, partake in whatever's happening, but I try not to get involved in who said what.
Right.
He said what. And this for that reason, this podcast thankfully isn't the one where you sit and take names and you bitch about people and you say, oh my God, did you hear? Blah, 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 blah. Like, we don't concern ourselves with that. We really, really concern ourselves with how individual sports around this one broad idea of martial arts can really pick up. And I feel as if you're doing an excellent job at Carlson Gracie in Karachi for promoting jiu-jitsu as it should be promoted.
Thank you.
No, dude, that I mean that. And I feel as if when you start opening more branches or you start expanding or whatever it is, I think that's when jiu-jitsu really gonna start picking up. And I hope
that's when we have black belts. We have more black belts.
Yeah.
So it's not, like I said, I don't want to rush anything. I think like even my friends who don't know anything about jiu-jitsu, like, oh, so you're doing jiu-jitsu full time now? Yeah, tum branch kyun nahi khol dete yahan pe wahan pe?
Yeah.
Look, I can't be in two places at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? To me, jiu-jitsu is an art. It's an art, right? Because it's about feeling. It's not something just about number crunching. Yes, I need to pay bills. You know, I need to have students coming in. I need to have rotation. But I always say to my students when they come in, I'm like, look, this is my club. You are not paying me to, teach you techniques as part of a gym membership where I'm providing a service. This is my academy. This is my club. You are paying to join it. You're going to abide by my rules.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you can leave. The door's right there. And everyone's always like, oh gosh, okay.
Yeah.
I just think that people need to be true to themselves, understand, like, have some guiding principles and stay true to them. That's it.
Yeah.
You just got to, people, what do they say? Trust the process, you know, and like whatever.
But that is the thing. Like, you got to trust the process. And I think it's also important to look past yourself in this situation, because I feel as if a lot of people tend to, like you said, rush things or try to accelerate them only because they know that when their lifespan in a specific sport or their lifespan, practicing something might just end before it really picks up.
So sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
One of my students, just when I got my black belt, one of my students tapped me out. Moeen Zubairi. And he was like telling Fez, he's like, man, I feel so bad I tap coach. That is my goal. That is my goal, to have a blue belt who is able to tap me out. I've got my students tapping me all the time. For me, that's a sign of success, right? Because I can go and test myself, right? Like, maybe before I could have doubted myself, but if my instructor, Wilson Jr., believes that I'm at a black belt level, then I'm at a black belt level. Yeah. I can go and carry myself and defend myself at the best clubs anywhere in the world, and I can train with the best, and I'm comfortable in my jiu-jitsu and I believe in it. So if I have my guys, who can catch me on a good day, bad day, whatever it is, that for me is the ultimate goal, right? When my students surpass me, that is when I know I'm doing my job right. Yeah. We recently started kids classes, which to me is just so epic. It's so epic because I've been putting it off for a really long time because the way you teach kids is completely different. They have like really short attention span. You've got to make it fun. They don't learn submissions. It's all about positions and it's fun and games. But I was just thinking about, like, even if these kids don't, continue to do jiu-jitsu, however, not being afraid of bullies and not having fear and having confidence, like what kind of energy that could have in their life moving forward. Like whether it's looking for a job or finding what they believe in and want to do, nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. Just having that belief in yourself gives me goosebumps, man. Like, I'm so excited that, this is like the next step for us. We're only teaching like 4 to 7 year olds and 8 to 12, and we're starting to get some kids in, and hopefully slowly it'll grow and we'll have, a bigger kids program. But that's the future, like I can be concentrating on, like, these are my students, and okay, this guy needs to work on this and she needs to work on this and blah blah blah, and watch them grow, and then they get injured or something happens and someone has a baby or someone's getting married or life happens, you know. I understand people have to leave jiu-jitsu sometimes, but it's as long as you always come back. But with kids, it's just like, it's a whole different ballgame.
I mean, have you already noticed any kind of stark changes in the kids you teach?
No,
or?
They're too young. But I mean, what I do like is that they enjoy it. Their parents are really happy, and the kids want to have more classes. So hopefully, we can work out a system we can have.
That's
more
awesome.
Kids.
And when it comes to your adult students, have you, since you've been teaching a lot of them for a very long amount of time, I don't want you to name any of them, but have you noticed any kind of stark or incredible changes in people that you have been teaching? Because I feel like those kind of stories are always there.
Man, there's this one guy. He came in as like a 40-year-old.
Now he's 20. No, I'm kidding.
40-year-old, overweight, very insecure, lacking confidence. He was literally wearing a trench coat. I was like, who's this guy wearing a trench coat? You know who you are. And he... and the changes that I've seen in him, like, he's basically our mascot.
I love that.
And he's there every single day. He really struggled for a long time, and he's thought about quitting like we all do. Jiu-Jitsu gives us some really dark days. But his approach to Jiu-Jitsu is like University of Life. The more time he spends, the more he's going to learn, and just really humble and hardworking. He was like overweight before. Now he's like fit. His wife helps him with his diet. He's got a really nice family environment where they're supporting him.
Very
that's
nice.
key, where you have your family to support you. It's changed his work. It's changed a lot of things about him, and everyone sees it in him. He's like a different person. And I think, even though I started jiu-jitsu as a blue belt in Pakistan for very selfish reasons, because I had the drug and I just needed to train. Now it's become something where it really is enriching for my soul to see me helping people and improve their lives.
Right.
It really gives me purpose, because I think life is short, and a lot of people get busy doing different things, and I think it's really important for us to find something that gives us value to our soul, to our heart, and allows us to fulfill ourselves.
Right. Are you into philosophy, or are you into...
Recently I've been reading a lot of Stoic philosophy. And it's helped me grow a lot. I believe that in order to see the light, you need to be through the darkness. And philosophy, like today I was talking to my friend's wife about it in the morning over breakfast, and she was saying, oh, but isn't Stoic philosophy like really strict and stuff? I said, it's not unfeeling. It is about feeling. It's about just understanding what is in your control,
right,
and what is outside of your control. All you need to focus on is what's in your control. Literally, that's only your mind. If things happen, you have the choice to choose how to perceive those things. You'll be like, oh, this terrible thing happened. Is it terrible? Is it really? It's up to you to choose how to perceive that.
That's true.
I recently did a trek up to K2 base camp.
Whoa.
And
casually just mentioned that. That's incredible.
It was difficult, no doubt. But some of the other treks I'd done previously, like up to Shimshal, shout out to TFF boys. I cried every day because it was so difficult. Like, we had a situation on the first day, and when we finally got to camp, like, I just broke down and sobbed that we finally had water, and every day was just so difficult, because you think, oh, I'm going on this trek, I'm going to look at these beautiful mountains and scenery. You're just looking at your feet. You don't want to die, right? That's all you're focusing on. It's walking meditation, right? And it's difficult for your mind, it's difficult for your body. And I follow a lot of like special forces guys. I like this military mindset. So there's this guy Nimsdai Purja, who is a Gurkha in the British boat service, and now he climbed 14 of the world's tallest mountains in 7 months. The previous record was like 7 years or something. And he talks about having the right mindset when you climb a mountain, or when you're facing difficulty, right? If you have negative self-talk, things are just going to be so much more difficult. So my goal for the K2 trek was to have no negative self-talk. I failed miserably. But even limiting the amount of negative talk I had, the whole trek of 11 days of climbing up and coming back down didn't seem difficult. Like, it was difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Objectively.
But it didn't feel like, I'm like, like people like, oh, if you start to complain and bitch and whine and be like, oh, this is horrible, why am I here? Why did I sign up for this? Look at this donkey shit, pani nahi hai, ye wo, pet kharab hai. Just focus on like what you're in control of. That's your mind. And if you choose to stay not like, toxically positive, but really just
realistic,
being strong in your mind changes everything.
Yeah. No, I think that's key. And I think the trekking is a very good example of, just
seeking difficulty.
Yeah. And dialing out and just kind of either focusing on what's happening. But at the same time, I think, you're right. It is very important to also not just be toxically happy or optimistic about things, that everything's going to be okay. You got to be realistic. You got to be, and I think all martial arts tend to teach you that, because of the simple attack, defend kind of a mechanism that martial arts play with. So you always have to be on edge.
Look, all martial arts are about murder, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about, the beauty of the art. It's all bullshit. At the end of the day, you're learning how to kill someone, right? Effectively.
Yeah.
And in that, you need to be able to put on a switch on in your mind, on and off. That's what happens in the military. You are taking human beings and you are training them to not feel about taking lives, right? That's a switch in your mind. So understanding the switch and being able to use it when you need it is important, but at the same time, we are human and we need to feel. That's really important.
Yeah, I think martial arts also teach you that, how to feel.
Yeah.
And when I started jiu-jitsu, I was very overweight. I was like 95 kilos and like 5'10" and unimpressive. Just like, I was rock bottom at that point in my life as well. And I really felt like it did start to change me, or at least my mindset, for a very large amount of time. I was, like I said, completely physically inadequate, so I didn't know how to take care of my body. I didn't realize that, training with this much weight on me might be bad, or I might burn out. And I was, just the let's go bro kind of guy. So I would just keep
all
going.
Been there. We've all
been there. And I was white belt. I just wanted to go all the time, and that's all I cared about. Like blue, brown, I don't care. Like, let's roll.
The funny thing is, whenever I have new people coming in, they're like, oh, I've been there. I was that guy who walked into the gym insecure, didn't know shit, was a spazzy white belt. All I want to do is roll. What's this drilling bullshit? I just want to roll. Inconsistent, not training for months, on and off. I've been there. I know. I just continued. That's all it takes. You just need to put one foot in front of the other and keep going.
There came a point where I just stopped. I don't know why. I still look back at that, and for all of you white belts watching, I do regret it, if I'm being honest.
It's not over yet.
Really?
No, it's not over.
I've
You're still breathing?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I just came to a point where and to this day, I've convinced myself, oh, grappling's not for me, or I'll injure myself again, or
it may or it may not be. Like, I've got a friend of mine, really really good friend of mine, who is overweight, and he struggles with a lot of different things, and with COVID especially, COVID's been really rough on people.
Yeah.
And he's stopped coming for jiu-jitsu. And we hang out every Friday, and we have like our sessions. We just sit down and talk about life and love and philosophy and everything. And for like months, I've been telling him, like, bro, come back to jiu-jitsu. Like, all this anxiety, all this stress. He's like, nahi yaar, abhi main ye karunga, wo karunga. Finally, I told him, I said, look, I teach morning classes. I said, he can't wake up in time, right? Because he's sleeping late, and it's too much for some people. Like, it's too much of a shock to the system. I said, look, anytime you want to train in the evening, call me. I'll come teach. Anytime. You're my brother. I'll come and teach for you anytime in the evening. No worries. So he's been coming recently, and he's like, oh my God, Alisha, like, my life is like all these things. Like, I'm trying to feel less anxious. I want to spend more time in the sun. I want to, like, it just, awakens something up in you to like try and seek out betterment in your life, looking for a better life.
Yeah, essentially just creating a better you in a way. And I think it's incredible that all of us have that in us, but it really takes something like a shock to the system sometimes, even if it's waking up early or it's like getting smashed on the jiu-jitsu mats. Like, every time I'd get tapped out, thankfully I wasn't that guy who would be like, oh, come on, what, I don't like that. Like, I would always feel like, oh, that was freaking awesome. Like, you know what I mean?
Ever since I was a little boy, I was acutely aware of time and how quickly it's slipping by. When I was 15 years old, I told all my classmates, we were like 9th grade. I was like, boys, now is the time, like, don't have any regrets. Not go party, but like look after yourselves, train, play sports, do everything. Because one day we're going to snap our fingers, we're going to be old men. My friends are old men, most of them already. We're 35. And I know that we all have shelf life. We're all going to expire at some point, right? And life is too precious to be mediocre, right? I just think that everyone really, if they listen to their hearts, we're all called towards greatness, and it's about listening to that voice inside you. People have so much anxiety these days. People have like rampant depression. People have all kinds of issues with their life because they've dumbed themselves down and numbed themselves to what their body and their mind and their heart needs, right?
Yeah.
We live in this space where we're all like in our head all of the time.
Yeah.
We need to spend more time with our heart. And that is spending time in nature. That's connecting with your loved ones. Jiu-jitsu is a lot of hugging. It's a lot of hugging, man. Like really. You know, after class, I love that buzz where everyone's just like happy and laughing and sitting and chatting. It's because we've been hugging. There's a lot of oxytocin going around, you know?
Yeah.
Endorphins from training. It's just, life's too short, you know? Everyone has, I wish for everyone to live their best life, you know, to try and really seek out what fulfills them.
Yeah.
And, you know, what gives them meaning, what gives them purpose. That I think that is the meaning of life, is
Yeah.
to search for those things. Because you're not always going to find it.
No.
And it's very normal for people to have to change their profession, to change their relationships, to change is good, you know, change can suck sometimes and it can hurt, but it is so important for your health, your mental health, your growth. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
No, you're not at all, actually. That's the resounding statements that making me really introspect right now. But I tend to ask this question from a lot of musicians and a lot of even like recently YouTubers and vloggers. I even asked this from filmmakers and all these people, because traditionally that's what people associate art with. But whenever somebody creates something like a piece of music or a movie or something they want to come here and plug or talk about, they're more than welcome to. I love plugging stuff for people. But I tend to always ask them, like, what does your art mean to you? And by that, I mean, like, when it's all said and done, when it's all done and dusted and this cowboy is off riding into the sunset, you know, pop gun and saddle and everything, what are you trying to achieve? And when I say that, I mean, like, as a teacher of Carlson Gracie, I mean that as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I understand it's about self-improvement and you getting yourself to the absolute next level. But when you think about your life and your art and how much your art is guiding your life and vice versa, what are you trying to fulfill, or what are you trying to create, or what are you trying to inspire at the end of the day, if you could sum it up to like one or two sentences?
There's a book called Ikigai, terrible book. It's they have this Japanese concept with these circles of trying to find meaning in life. It's actually about how to live a long and healthy life. And you have to find stuff that gives back to society, something that you love to do, something you're good to do, and there's like this middle space. I feel a lot of the time people get caught up with material stuff or what they think they should do or what others think they should do. I think what my goal would be is to help people find and listen to them, to themselves, to their heart, to their soul. Doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu, you know, but through jiu-jitsu as a vehicle for improvement to live their best life, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, we're good. Yeah, I get that. So it's very much based around making sure that you can keep inspiring people in a way and keep at least making them inspire themselves.
I don't really, I was telling Omar before, I don't really like publicity. I think fame is like not a good thing.
You don't have an Instagram page?
I do have my personal one, but I keep it very limited.
Yeah.
I'm quite a private person. Sorry, what were we talking about?
Life and self-improvement and your goal.
Yeah, goal
with
is
your
to,
art.
yeah, I mean, you know, people, a lot of I don't take compliments well. I don't really, you know, when my students like celebrate my birthday and stuff, I feel really uncomfortable. You know, it makes me, but I need to learn to love myself and appreciate myself. And so with jiu-jitsu, you know, like I appreciate all the positive things you guys are saying, but it's really not about me, right? Like, I'm transient. I'm going to be out of here. Peace out someday. But if I've had some kind of positive impact on people's lives, help them through jiu-jitsu, I'm human. I can have bad days. I can be mean. I can do not some nice, you know, some not nice things. But at the end of the day, I want to try and help people. And I'm, you know, I'm, like I said earlier, I'm transitioning from this corporate kind of life that I have, and I'm starting to realize I'm becoming a teacher, you know.
Yeah.
And I studied Japanese, and in Eastern culture, the hierarchy of society. Teachers were held with so much respect.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people just think, oh, it's teacher. Like, ye kya sikhata hai,
Yeah.
kya? But I think there's so much value in what a teacher can be for generations to come, you know, for helping people, kids, grandkids, generations of, you know, just warriors.
Yeah, warriors and thinkers and
Yeah.
just all around good human beings. And I think that's primarily what, like, a lot of people that when I initially said, like, there's a certain discipline or there's a certain way that people who practice jiu-jitsu are compared to other martial arts, like, I feel as if self-improvement and all of that is very key and very, like, unique to this sport for whatever reason. I'm still trying to figure it out myself as well. Like, there's absolutely two extremes in the type of jiu-jitsu guys I meet.
I don't think it's just jiu-jitsu, man. Like this, that guy Laszlo I mentioned, the Hungarian guy.
Yeah.
I was like, iPhone pops up with pictures, you know, history. So picture popped up of him, and I emailed him, and I was like, dude, you know, it's been a long time. Just want to let you know, I got my black belt. You know, how you doing? These people who are with us, they're still training, you know. And he wrote back, and he's like, you know, I'm so glad, blah blah, really positive. And again, just like, he was a judo guy, but we are all about self-improvement. Right? Kaizen or whatever you want to call it.
Nice. Okay. We're about to reach the hour mark, so I want to ask you some fun questions that I always wanted to ask you since we first decided to do this podcast. This is stuff I'm curious about.
Shoot.
What do you do in your free time? And I mean, like, hobbies other than jiu-jitsu.
I love camping. I love spending time in the great outdoors. I tinker a lot with my truck.
Got a truck?
I got a truck. I'm a nerd, so we spend a lot of time learning different skills.
Nice. And what's your favorite food?
Ooh, I tend to stay away from best and top and favorite and this kind of stuff. Depends on my mood.
Right.
I used to love burgers, but there are no good burgers in Pakistan. Shout out to my friend Omar, famous O's, best pizza in the country. He switched me from burgers to pizza.
Really?
Really good pizza.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it like the pizza with the...
proper New York style, like...
Ooh.
better than pizza in London and as good as pizza in New York.
Brilliant. What do you think about vegans?
I was vegan for a while. I tried it.
Yeah.
It depends on what people are doing. Why, like, you know, why they're vegan. I think humans have always been opportunistic hunters. So, you know, if they were not always eating berries and shit, they would come across a carcass, have some bone marrow, eat some carrion meat, whatever. So I think vegans have generally, if they're doing it for ethical reasons, good for them. They're not going to save the planet, unfortunately. That's what new studies show. But yeah, it can be good for your health.
Yeah.
In the correct way.
Omar Fassi's a vegan, just wanted to let you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
You need to take a lot of fats. You need a lot of healthy fats, and you need a lot of, like, a complete protein profile. Have a lot of chia seeds, avocado.
Yeah. Take notes. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh man, impossible.
Okay, give me 2 or 3 at least.
Heat.
Okay. Yeah.
Godfather is a good film.
Of course.
There's this show called Foundation right now on Apple TV. Pretty good.
Cool.
Star Wars, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Have you read the books?
No.
Same.
No. I've read the Game of Thrones books.
Strangely
enough, I was talking to an author on the bus yesterday.
Oh.
He was making me read his book.
Yeah.
He didn't know what a podcast was. And he's from Manchester, and he didn't know who Joe Rogan was. I was like really surprised.
Yeah. You're an author from Manchester. You don't know who Joe Rogan is? Like, that's pretty crazy. Okay. Favorite band or musician?
Ooh.
We can go one after the other, band and the musician if you want.
I mean, like, I love hip hop. I love rap. Like, you know, big old school Tupac fan. Yesterday I was listening to Kings of Leon. I like a lot of soul, jazz, everything.
Brilliant. I think I'm out of interesting questions. This is pretty much.
What's your favorite color?
Mine? Oh, purple. Straight up. What's yours?
Blue.
Well, mine's baby pink or purple.
Nice.
I'm wearing it. Yeah, no, I don't mess around with my colors. I have a mask which is like baby pink. That's pretty much my. Wait, what's your favorite city in the world?
Favorite city in the world is a tough one, man. There are too many beautiful cities out there.
Say Karachi. Easy way out.
No, man, I'm sorry. Karachi's a shithole.
Yeah, I agree.
My friends, my fellow citizens, we all know it. We are hostage. We have Stockholm syndrome. Karachi's a shithole. I've driven down from Gilgit And as you're driving down the country, it just gets shittier and shittier and shittier. And
hotter and hotter and hotter.
We need to be responsible, proud citizens and take care of our country.
Is global warming a myth?
It may be natural. I'm sure humans have affected it. I do worry about my son and having another child and the future of humanity, but we are a cancer on the planet, and the planet will probably eventually wipe us out.
Yeah, I think it will fight back very soon. It's already started to fight back. Alisha, regardless to say, this has been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
No. Thank you for making the trip, for being in the studio, for being, wise enough to say, no, we're not doing a Zoom podcast.
I think we're going to do another one.
We're going to do as many whenever you're in Lahore. Like, seriously, I was actually just going to say that whenever you're in town, buddy.
I'll bring the coffee.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the shit coffee. I will upgrade my game before you're back. I'll at least get a Davidoff after this
class.
I'll hit you up. He's gonna ask you about some chia seeds. I'm gonna ask you about some coffee.
I'm down.
Alisha, the last segment of our podcast is always the guest segment, and that means that you can say anything you want to, facing the camera or me or whatever. Get anything you want to get across. Plug whatever it is that you want to plug, or whatever message that you have for the beautiful people watching on the mic.
Thank you to my family, as always. My beautiful wife, always supporting me. I just feel like this is an Oscar speech. I've got a list here somewhere. Shout out to my coaches in London for always being the guiding light for me. And thank you to my students, all the strong women who are training with us day in, day out, all the strong men training with us day in, day out. Just keep putting in the work, man. You'll get there.
Yeah. Man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so
brother.
much again. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the incredible, and I don't use this often, but the powerful Alisha, who really, really shed some light on some really important stuff. Please stay subscribed to the channel if you are already. Don't unsubscribe, but please, if you are not subscribed, what do you have to do? What do they have to do?
Follow Carlson Gracie Karachi.
Yeah, and subscribe to On The Mic. Links in the bio for Carlson Gracie's Instagram page. They're incredible. It's really wholesome content, if you ask me. Whenever somebody gets promoted, whenever somebody does something cool, Alisha's always putting something up. That is the closest thing to your public profile, isn't it?
Correct.
So please
don't add me. I'm not going to accept it.
I might send you one. But anyway, I'm kidding. Go follow Carlson Gracie. Links in the bio. Go support what they do and everything. And please subscribe to On The Mic. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Nice, little, old, whatever. Just say what you want in the comments. Be nice. Be critical if you must.
Alisha to ladki ka naam hai.
Clickbait. It's like, where's the chick, man? We were promised a whole chick. And she's not here. Anyway, he'll kill you with his bare hands. Don't ever piss him off. And please, from me to you, the 3 words I say to you at the end of the podcast, I will say them to you again while I take the headphones off very slowly. And that is, please keep it tight. I'll see you soon. We got a lot more coming.